So the way that I would describe Afromanga is being this medium that makes use of the conventions of traditional manga, which is like having a black and white interior, having 4 or 5 panels per page, and being formatted in A5, with the cop out of being written and read from left to right as opposed to right to left. And then you take that medium and you introduce Afrocentric stories to it, and you have Afromanga. How we started in the initial planning phases for everybody was they were writers and they were artists, and the project basically ran around all the writers would write the ideas and all the artists would choose who they wanted to work with. And I got to work with 2 amazing artists. So some of my responsibilities as the main writer revolved around plotting the journey of the story, fleshing out the characters, fleshing out the world, finding references for what they would look like, both the world and the characters, and then also doing some rough drafting in dialogue, splitting up responsibilities, and coming up with rough paneling and just pacing in general. And the nice part about, like, even though I did a lot of pre-production as the writer and coming up with dialogue and all those things, I also got to be the colorist for our cover page for the chapter that we did. I guess for the beginning stages, any process I'd assume starts with a lot of questions and a basic idea, and I had a lot of questions in terms of how would I create a story in this medium. And some of them were, what if people who looked like me were in space? Or what if they were space cadets who lived in a world where they respected and understood, sexualities and gender nonconformity? And even further than that, what happens if their diet is curry and like fat cook or something? As a team, we redraft a lot of things, going through dialogue, editing, making sure panels actually flow with the narrative, fitting in characters and backgrounds together, making sure art styles are actually cohesive, and all of the other production and post-production. So that's kind of how The Pirate Queen's Daughter came to be. And that's the name of our chapter. It's set in this cyberpunk, solar punk, steampunk world. It's a very big mixture of it all, but it's also set in this totalitarian society, and that is kind of contrasting with the ideas of the world. It's so open to accepting things, and yet there is a minority group and there is a majority group, and what exactly splits that apart? The Pirate Queen's Daughter follows a character named Raza, who is on a mission to hunt down the Pirate Queen, who is also her mother. And the basis of the story is that it explores the relationship between a mother and daughter. And Raza is raised by the task force, and because she is the daughter of a traitor, she dedicates her life to being the best captain that the task force had ever seen. But on her hunt for her mother, she is introduced to a world that she never knew existed, a world that has love and really good food, and she will do anything to not lose that world. I think some of the highlights of working on a project like this for me was being able to work in a group with only women of color, and being able to bring to life characters like Raza, Naya, and all the other characters that we got to meet inside of this world. It's also really cool that we were introduced to this medium for the first time ever, and we were basically part of creating it ourselves. And it's a whole genre in itself that can be expanded on and just added to even more. So it's really, really cool that the project had so many different hands in it and so many different experiences. We only had the time to create singular chapters, but we had planned as if we were going to create separate mangas. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of Raza's story that I'm still very eager to create and produce. I think it's important to support local because local is home, and local creators have this power to represent the stories of people around them more accurately and with more respect, I believe. And by supporting those creators, we just make it easier for them to create and to share it with the world. So if you'd like to support local and you'd like to keep up with Raza's journey or the other stories inside of Blood, Sweat and Ink, you can buy a copy for 100 Rand at this website. I think that having a character like Raza come to life this way in this medium has really opened me up to a different mode of creation and storytelling because of the conventions of traditional manga, and being able to introduce Afrocentric stories and ideas and experiences into it. And also, at the end of it all, we finally got to see this physical copy of our work. And this was literally one of the best and biggest projects I've ever been a part of in my entire university career.